Brucha Boim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Mem Amud Beis. Start with Daf Mem Amud Aleph at the very bottom. The Gemara previously brought a brayso. The Tanakama's position in regards to the confession is not ma'akev, whereas Rabbi Shimon said it's poisil. Says the Gemara, Va'ozdu the Tamai, they go according to their reasoning that's found in a brayso somewhere else, the Tanya. It says in the brayso on Daf Mem Amud Beis at the very top, Yamoid Chai Lifnei Hashem Lechaper Alov. You shall stand the he-goat, referring to the one that's going to Azazel, and you should let it stand in front of Hashem to be mechaper. Ad Mosa Yezok Lamod Chai. What's this emphasis? It's Yamod Chai. Until when does it have to stand alive? Explains the Brisa, Ad Shas Matan Domoy Shel Chaveiro Di Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says until the other he-goat is going to then have the applications of its dam on the Mizbeach. And that is before the confession. So therefore, if it dies, so you see that the confession is not ma'akev. Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Ad Shas Vidui Dvorim. Whereas Rabbi Shimon says it is ma'akev, it is necessary, and therefore the kapora requires the confession. But my kamifli, what's the machlekes between the Tanakam, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Shimon? Kedetanya, like it says in the following brayso, lechaper bekaporas domi makosu medaber. It says the mechaper is referring to kaporas domim, according to this position. V'chein hu oimer v'kila mikaper es hakodesh ma lahalon bekaporas domim afkan bekaporas domim div Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda maintains that the kapora lechaper is a reference to the kaporas of the domim, of the application of the dam on the mizbeach. Rabbi Shimon oimer lechaper alov bekaporas dvorim hakosu medaber. He says lechaper is going on the kapora of dvorim, the confession. So this is the machlokes that we have. What is the kapora, the atonement, referring to? Toshma. Now the Gemara goes back and wants to then prove that indeed the hagrola that we said before, want to suggest that it is ma'akev. Now the Gemara wants to bring a brayso that seems to imply otherwise. Says the brayso, Toshma, Shalu Talmidov es Rabbi Akiva. The Talmid Rabbi Akiva asked him the following: Ola bismol mahu. If the chatos lahashem gairal went on up on the left hand, what is the din sheyachzol liyamin? Could he go ahead and quickly place it in the right hand? We said that when the chatos lahashem is on the right, that is going to be a very positive type of hagrola. So if it went on the left, can you go ahead and change it to the right? Or Marlahen, Rabbi Akiva answers his Talmidim, Al titnu mokom litzedukim lirdois. Don't give place, don't give the opportunity of the tzedukim to be roideh, that they should rule and have an excuse that the chachamim, they go based on their whim and ways. They don't follow the true words of the Torah. Taimo, the Gemara makes a diuk, that which Rabbi Akiva told his Talmidim, the al titnu mokom litzedukim lirdois. Mashma holav hochi mahadrinale. If it wasn't for this problem, the tzedukim, then technically you would be able to change it from the left to the right, which implies that the girl is not essential. The ho amris hagrola ma'akva, but you yourself said that it is yes ma'akev. In other words, Rabbi Yonai in the Lishna Basra that we had on Daf Lamed Tesamud Beis says that it is ma'akev the hagrola. So how can you see from this brayso otherwise? Says the Gemara is not a kasha. V'kivan the kaveisei small heich madrin le. The Gemara just concludes this question. And once you already were kaveya on the left hand, that was what came out in the Goral. So then, how can you go ahead and suggest to change it to the other side, to the right? So it's a kasha on Rav Yonai's Lishna Basra above that said that the Goral is ma'akev. Omar Rava said, Hochi ka'amre. This is what they said, the students said. Olo hagaral bismal mau she'echziru loy ulisiiro liyamin. Their question was, can you go ahead, if it went up to the left, you could change not only that, but also the so'ir. In other words, you're really not changing anything. You're basically putting the same left on the left so'ir, on the left he-goat. But for the onlookers, so when you change it around, you're putting everything to the right. You're putting the right one on the right se'ir. In other words, you're changing just the positioning of the se'irim. So by changing the positioning of the se'irim, by putting the left one to the right, and then changing the left garal to the right, you're putting the same garal in the same se'ir. So you really haven't done anything. Only again, it looks to everybody else like it's going to be a good siman. So that was the question they asked Rabbi Akiva. Omar lehen. So on that, he said to them, Al titnu mokom l'tzedukim lirdos. Don't do that, because that even will then give the tzedukim an excuse to say that the chachamim are changing the words of the Torah and they do what they want to do. Toshma. Now the Gemara goes the other way and suggests a proof that indeed the hanocha, the garal is ma'akev, with the following brisa: Ilu nemar, if it was said. I'll read you the pasuk. The pasuk reads: V'hikri v'hakoyin es hasoir asher ola olav hagaral laHashem v'aso chatos. Aaron brings close the soir, the he-goat, that was ola olav hagaral laHashem, that went up on it, the garal, for Hashem. V'aso chatos, and he made a chatos. So now the Brisa says, Ilu nemar es hasoy asher olav, the he-goat that it was upon. Then hayisi oimer yanichen olav, that you have to place the garal on the he-goat. Talmud oimer Allah. But now that the pasuk adds the word Allah alav, kiven sha'Allah shuv eino tzorich. Once it came up, then it is not necessary, meaning to place. Lamai. So there, what is this coming to say? Kivan she'olav shuv eino tzarich. Ileima, the Gemara flushes out the proof. Lemitzvah michlal dahanocha mitzvah nami loy. If you're going to say it's coming for a mitzvah, then it would come out that you don't have to even do the hanocha, and that's certainly not so. Sorry. If you're going to say that it's coming from mitzvah, so you don't have to do the hanacha, that's not a mitzvah, even to do the hanach, to place the girl on the he-goat. Elalav la'akev. Rather, what we must be talking about is that the hanach is not ma'akev. V'shma mina, we can make a diuk from that. If the hanach is not ma'akev, hagrola is ma'akev. Hanacha loy ma'akva. So then we can prove that the hagrola is ma'akev, and that would be a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan on the Lishna Kama that we said on Daf Lamed Tes Amud Beis. Omar Rave said, you have no proof. Hachi Omar. This is what it's saying. Ilu nema asher alav. It just said the word alav alone. Then hayisi oimer yanichenu alav ashas shchita. You have to place you have to leave it. You have to place it and leave it on the seir until the time of the shchita of the other he-goat. Talmud loyma asher Allah kiven sha'Allah shuv eino tzarich. Since it said now Allah, once it went up, that's enough. So you have no proof to then midayek that the hagrola is ma'akev. Toshma. The Gemara now wants to bring a further proof. Says the Gemara, Va'asu chatos. At the end of that pasuk we just said Va'asu chatos. And it will make it into a chatos. Now that pasuk read it to you again, V'hikriv ha'arnes hasoir. Asher Allah alav ha'garal laHashem. V'asu chatos. Mashma that the garal makes it a chatos laHashem. Says the Gemara, Toshma. So let's bring a proof. V'aso chatos, the pasuk says, Hagarel oiseu chatos, vein Hashem oiseu chatos. It's the garal, the casting of the lot, that makes it la Hashem, and not the declaration of the Kohen Gadol that makes it la Hashem. Now, why is that necessary to teach? Because I could think otherwise from the following kal v'chomer. Sheyachol v'halo dinhu. I could bring the following kal v'chomer. Uma b'makom shelo kidesh hagaral, kidesh Hashem, in a place where there's no garal. like when you have two pair birds, that's one chatos and one is an oila. There's no garal. How is it determined to be which one is the chatas and which is the oila in the pair birds that are brought, let's say, for a yoledes? So it's a declaration that makes it a chatas and what makes it an oila. So there again, ma b'makom shaloi kiddush hagaral is kiddush Hashem without the garal. Yet the designation, the oral designation, is what's mekadesh these birds. So makom shekidesh hagaral eino din sheyikadesh Hashem. So now in the place over here, when it comes to the he-goats, when the garal is mekadesh, then certainly the expression of the Kohen Gadol should also then work to be mekadesh. Talmud Lorma, on that the pasuk comes va'as lapuke to exclude that and say va'aso chatos. Hagaral oise chatos ve'en Hashem oise chatos. Dafka the garal is what's required and not the declaration. The Gemara now comes on Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph on the top and says that this brayz that we just quoted is indeed a sifra, stam sifra mani. And who is the author of the sifra? The Gemara says it's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda authors the sifra. So now the Gemara comes and makes its refutation. The kotani hagaral oisechatos vein Hashem oisechatos. And this brisa, which is the sifra, which is authored by Rabbi Yehuda, states that the garal makes the chatos, but the oral declaration does not make the chatos. You need the lot to be casted to make the chatos la Hashem. Alma hagrola ma'akva. From here we see that the garal is yes ma'akev. Tiyufta demanda oma hagrola loy ma'akva tiyufta. From here we see it's a proof against those opinions that said before on Daf Lamed Tezamid Beis that hagrola is not ma'akev. We see from here that those who said that it is ma'akev, the Shita Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore this would be a refutation on that opinion.